Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Healing Lifestyle Podcast. I am your host, Shonda Domingo Brown, ancestral medium and movement healer, and we are bringing you everything healing, whether it's motherhood, entrepreneurship, day to day life, day to day relationships, while still being on your healing journey. Today, we are talking when you are expanding in your life, when it is time for you to expand, time for you to evolve, time for you to make a change. And I am super excited because I got my sister, Olivia Scott, here with us today. Now, I'm bragging a little bit, and I know I'm not going to do it justice, but listen, Linda, okay? Olivia is the founder, the owner of Omerge Alliances, where, and then correct me if I'm wrong, Olivia, they do like strategic brand partnerships, marketing, PR, event planning, production, talent management, brand management, all the things wrapped up.
Almost.
Olivia is who you call. Listen, not only that though, she gets even more disrespectfully amazing because then she's also the founder of Freedom at the Mat, which is a beautiful organization that teaches women, encourages women, and empowers women to get to their yoga mats to find their inner freedom, their inner peace, and their inner wholeness. And she does it from New Orleans to Memphis to New York, really starting this movement, collaborating with other people who are in the movement, who are right, who are in
This
the movement. But what I love and when I get to watch her work and even when I get to partner with her, she is the curator when it comes to getting people from all walks of life in the same room for the same purpose, which is inner freedom and healing. So, Olivia, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It is an honor, it is a blessing, it is a joy. You know how much I love you and adore you and respect the work that you're doing. And, with Omerge Alliances, one of the clients we've had for a long time has been Essence, and that's how we originally met. And when you work with properties like Essence, you end up meeting a tremendous number of people who want to have access to your platform, the platform you're representing, to be able to get their agenda pushed forth. One of the things I always really liked about you as I was meeting so many people during my Essence phase was that you were consistently showing up to serve. It didn't matter. You had different permutations from, the fitness, the aerobic fitness, the dance fitness, through healing movement, ancestral, and it's just been such a joy. So I just wanted to say that I'm equally as fond of you, and thank you for allowing me to be a guest today.
Well, I'm not crying, you're crying. I appreciate you. You know I'm silly. I appreciate
I know.
I appreciate you. No, the feeling is definitely mutual for sure. So one of the things and what I want to share with everyone, and I just want you to like drop all your nuggets and wisdom, is that like Olivia said, we met when it came to me being invited to do Essence, and she was coordinating and producing Essence first concept of integrating wellness in the arts and
Mhm.
cultural and music festival. And to see her,
2019.
right? To see
Mhm.
her to see her evolve what it is now. To see her take
Mm.
it from being, "Hey, we should incorporate this. This is what it could look like. This is what it should look like," to now it being what I looked at from my involvement in it as like a non-negotiable, as a part of the
Right.
community events that happens when the festival takes place. And then to also see her move to New Orleans during that entire time, really
Right.
transitioning her business and never losing momentum, continuing to move down that as she's still elevated and evolved within herself. And for me, the one word that I see when I look at that is expansion. And
Mm.
so that's what I wanted Olivia to come and drop some nuggets because she be dropping nuggets in different rooms, y'all. She be speaking and teaching, okay? And I was like,
That's
yo, we're coming up on March. We're about to be in spring. Spring is when we get to spread our wings, when we get to
mhm.
expand, when we get to give ourselves the permission to ascend and soar and elevate. And this is who I think needs to, this is who I want to talk to when it comes to us getting in the mindset of how we navigate our expansion and our healing in our day-to-day lives. So, can you start by just telling us, what does expansion mean to you?
Hmm. It means being grounded around where you are, but knowing there's so much more,
Mhm,
right? So it's a knowing and it's a confidence in yourself that, okay, I've got something going. I have the evidence that something I'm doing is working.
mhm,
And I'm going to continue to lean into it to serve more. That's what expansion means to me. Because I'm a servant leader
mhm,
like you. And there's a saying about using all of your gifts. When I was a little girl, my mother used to say to me, what God gives to you is his gifts to you. What you give back to him is your gift to him. And so when I look at the gifts that have been apportioned to me, and I look at the experiences that I've had the privilege of
mhm,
having, and the family that the mother I had the privilege of having, there are so many things that I can do to expand my mind. Denzel Washington always says, we've seen him talk about having a book, that if you have a book, then you can't be limited. We as people, if we can read, then we can expand our mind. So for me, it's a combination of being a free spirit, always being curious, and wanting just to continue to grow. Expansion is also growth, Shonda.
mhm,
Never wanting to stay stagnant, wanting to always explore and try something
mhm.
new as much as I can.
And so that makes me think, can you tie that into one of the things we are going to be talking about in March is all about purpose, right? So, can you tell me how, as you start to expand, you're always looking for opportunities to serve? How can we stay? One of the things I always notice, you always look at making sure that you stay innovative in what that looks like and really being
Mhm.
very considerate and intentional of the communities that you're serving and the people that you're working with. How, for you, does that tie into your purpose of serving and being a servant leader and getting people, and no matter how you're showing up into this space of connecting to inner freedom?
So, repeat the question for me one more
Yeah, no, for
time.
sure. So, as
Would you
you focus on, we talked about expansion, right? And your definition of
Right.
expansion. For you, how does this mindset of expansion connect to your purpose, or what you feel your purpose is just right now in your life?
So, for me, it's about service,
Mhm,
right? So, the more I grow, the more capable I become, the more people that I'm able to connect with, I'm serving more. So when I think about expansion, I think we have to be very careful. Like,
mhm,
there's a whole beast out there, social media, numbers and likes and all that. It's never been from I'm trying to grow my following. It's been around, I really want to make impact. When I moved to New Orleans from New York, it was a homecoming for me being from Memphis, coming back to the South.
mhm,
And I understand that we were in 2024, we were ranked 49th in health rankings, and in 2023, we were 50th. So when I look at that, to me, that's a whole bunch of ground to cover. The whole bunch of people that I need to access. Now, they may find me on YouTube. They may find me on your podcast. They may find me on Instagram. They may find me in an event at Salon 22. I don't really know. But my goal is to make sure I'm always being of service and that I'm reaching people. That's my purpose is to my purpose since I was a little girl. It's gonna sound crazy, Sean, and you may not believe me, but it's really true. When I was a little girl in Memphis, I used to read a lot of poems, and I, did a lot of thespian work and poetry work throughout high school and college. And I used to read a lot of Harlem Renaissance poems. That's what I
Mhm,
did. I would
mhm,
recite them, whatever, right?
mhm,
I won third at state. That's what I did, right? But along that journey, I had this vision, which seems absolutely crazy, that I was going to be teaching young girls about fitness and nutrition in Harlem.
mm, mhm,
That was my
mhm,
dream as a little girl because I was
mhm,
reading the Harlem Renaissance and
mhm,
I knew, right? And I always loved health and wellness. I've been
mhm,
counting calories, unfortunately, since I was the age of 9.
mhm,
And I understood my mother was ill. She had multiple heart attacks, and we have heart disease in our family. So I understood the connection between nutrition and health. And I was like, I want to make sure more people know about this stuff, you
mhm.
know? So for me, when I think about expansion, it's just about reaching more people and being of service because my purpose has been around it's interesting. When I first began working with Essence and I became a producer by working with them, I was always a marketing person, but I became a producer working with them. But initially, I started the beauty property. And then I did the entrepreneurship. Then I did the entertainment. I did all these different stages. But when wellness came around, one of my closest friends said, Now this makes more sense than anything in the world for you. This is just what you do.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like, because you're astute and you can create and whatever, you can create beauty, you can create for entrepreneurship, you can create for entertainment. But the wellness, there was something about it that I was like, so even when, for me, when I got deeper into the freedom at the mat, for me was I saw there was an audience that needed to be served,
Mhm,
Shonda.
mhm,
And I could not rely upon a company around budget cuts, around sponsorship, right?
mhm.
To do it. I wanted to do it. So whether or not they called me back each year to produce, I didn't want that to be my telltale sign about whether or not I was going to actually be getting the word out about health and wellness. Does that make
No,
sense?
that makes perfect sense. And hey, you know who you talking to, so that don't sound crazy to me at all.
Okay.
I'm like, "No, that sound about right. Yeah, that's usually how it goes." And
Right.
I had a similar experience. I remember I was just telling a friend of mine about this. When I was, 13, I had my very first solo in dance school. It was the first solo that I choreographed by myself. I picked out my outfit, I picked my song, the whole shebang, right? And I remember dancing on that stage at 13 years old, having this really intense outer body experience where something in me knew that I was supposed to dance for the rest of my life. Then I remember walking off the stage, going straight to my mother and going, "This is what I want to do for the rest of my I there was something in me that knew that I knew that I knew that that is what I was supposed to do. I felt free. I felt at peace, but there was also something very out of body for me that felt convicted all at the same
Hmm.
time. Now, of course, dance has evolved, right? For what it looks like and how for me, dance is pure medicine instead of just me entertaining people. But I feel like it's in those moments where we get these glimpses of our purpose in our lives because I have finally, right, come to accept that a part of my purpose is getting people in their bodies. A part of my
Mhm.
purpose is getting people to move and to dance and to experience empowerment and healing and wholeness through dance as this
Yep.
medicine, as this
Yep.
thing that's not just for your entertainment, but this ancient medicine that we underestimate, And so
I
that makes and to serve, right? To do it in a way that serving people. I'm not trying to be in a music video, you know, I don't need
Good.
I don't need the followers. I don't need all the bells and whistles. And there's nothing wrong with anyone that wants that. But I know I'm very clear for me that that ain't it. There's a service,
Right.
a much deeper service that that the energy of dance is now holding me accountable to, and that
Mhm.
spirit and my ancestors are now holding me accountable to, and that I like. how it feels to serve and to work with dance in this capacity. So for me, I even look at how we talking about expansion. It's like even giving yourself the permission to expand and evolve as it looks different, just like how you had your experience with Essence, right? Like expansion gives you the space to continue to evolve into your purpose. And something you said, I was trying to write it down so I wouldn't forget. When you were saying your purpose and you said impact, and I was like, yeah, it's like your purpose is like your imprint, like when
Yeah.
you go into serve. So as you expand your footprint, that imprint gets bigger, right? Of what you get to leave here. And when you're healing, the clearer you get on who you are, the more you let those triggers and those wounds fall off of you. It's like now you make room to spread your wings. Your impact gets bigger, your footprint gets wider. When you were saying
Yep.
that, all that was coming. I was like, let me write this down. I'm like, this girl's good. So speaking of that, I want to ask you the next question is, when did you know? I know you said about when you knew you wanted to serve, when you wanted to help your mom. When did you know? I really
Mhm.
want to talk about the work you do with Freedom at the Mat. When did you know that helping women find this type of freedom was a part of your personal expansion, your purpose, your imprint?
My divorce.
Okay. Mhm.
Right? So 14, and still very good friends with my ex-husband, Al. We were still good friends. But going through the divorce, which was devastating, anybody who's been through one knows it's devastating. There was this changing woman that was coming. And I happened to have been in a place where prior to my divorce, I would have never touched a yoga mat ever. I was only doing elliptical trainer. I was only doing like biking. That's all I was doing, right? And I'd moved to Jersey. We'd moved to Jersey. And long story short, they didn't have spinning in the morning. So I had to resort to yoga. And I had done Hatha yoga in Chicago in 1996, and I hated it. And I'd done Bikram yoga prior to that. Well, after that in New York City around 2004 ish. Didn't really enjoy it. I had some injuries, just didn't enjoy it. So I'd like, no. But see, at the time, I didn't know yoga had so many different types: Vinyasa, Hatha, Kundalini,
Mhm.
Ashtanga,
Yeah.
right? Medic. So when I walked into the yoga room in New Jersey, in Newark, and this teacher, little cute Brazilian woman who was a powerhouse, she pushed us through all of these poses, and I began sweating. And I was like, wait a minute, I can get some aerobic out of this. But I got really into my body, my mind. It was all connected. And I almost wanted to cry in her class. I was so connected to my body. And it just felt incredible what was
Mhm.
happening in this class.
Mhm.
And I really got deeper into my yoga practice. And she's like, you're really good. You should go get your certification.
Mhm.
So when I went to get my certification, of course, like many of us who get our training, we know that we're like one of the few people of color in these classes, Black people,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? Or Hispanic. And I was like, yoga has been a saving grace for me. I would not have made it through this time of being displaced from my home in Harlem, being in Jersey, going through a divorce, trying to navigate my way back, blah, 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 without this modality of healing.
Mhm.
I gotta share it with other women. Like all it takes is like a 6 feet of rubber, right? You're in these small apartments in Harlem and New York City and big cities, right? But for me, I was Harlem, where you don't have much
Mhm.
room. All you have is this 6 feet, 72 inches of yoga mat and 24 inches wide. And so I was just like, I want other women in Harlem to know that it's okay. You can find your freedom at the mat. You can find it there,
Mhm.
right? If you come to it and just sit on it with a meditation pillow, or if you want to do a pose, or if you just want to sit there on your journal, this can be your space to work your stuff out. So that was the moment it happened for me, was when I was in teacher training. And when I finished teacher training, I did like my thesis presentation, everything. And it was around It was leveraging gospel music. I used gospel music as my bed because I was like, I specifically wanted other Black
Mhm.
women to be able to access it at my church. And I was like, I think there are all these things that have been told to us around what we can do and what we cannot do. And for many, whether it is this religious thing where there's some people who are
Mhm.
Christian who say that,
Mhm.
yoga, it hardens these demonic spirits or whatever, right? You've heard that. And then you have this other notion that yoga is only for a certain body type.
Mhm.
So I was like, I want to debunk all that. And I just want people to use the
Mhm.
modality for their healing. Whether you have the strength and the stamina just
Mhm.
yet, doesn't really matter. Just use the modality. Tell me why.
No, I love it. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, I'm sitting here like, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's it.
Yeah. So I mean, you've done so much beautiful work with Freedom at the Mat. For those of you who don't know, Freedom at the Mat also, I'm gonna put the link in the show notes. Olivia has partnered with, an artist of color, right? Where
Yes,
it's three artists.
yes.
Okay, the mats, they sell yoga mats. The mats are gorgeous and they are high
Thank you.
quality mats. Like it's like your lifetime mat. You you take care of this, you Gucci. And it is gorgeous. You're gonna feel like that girl when you walk into a yoga class with that mat. Like I feel like it never fails. Somebody rolling on, everybody be like, oh, what's that? That's nice. Where you got that mat from? That's nice.
It is kind of a statement when you roll it
That's
out.
how I
It's
feel
like,
when I roll out my little swirl. I'll be like, I'm here. I'll be like, I'm here. We about to move. What we doing today? It's like it makes me feel like it just makes me feel like I'm empowered. It makes me feel supported in who I am. Because sometimes you do go in these spaces and you're like, well, I ain't got the matching yoga outfit. Yeah, I ain't there yet, or that just ain't what you wanted to wear that day, you know.
right.
And I feel like when I walk in with your mat, I'm like, I got an official. This is legit. We in here. Me and my mat. I don't need your mat. I'm good. I bought mine. I'm good. Roll out my mat. So I'm saying that y'all to say like I'm gonna put the link in the show notes. If you're new to yoga or if you just need something real fly to exercise on that's representative of your energy, whether you are a person of color, BIPOC, whatever that looks like for you, like these mats are, or you're just a woman who really is big on wanting to connect with her feminine energy. These mats really bring that out, and it's something for whatever your vibe is too. So I'm gonna put the link in the show notes for that as well. I had to do a mat plug because them mats are listen, okay. So what I want,
I and
absolutely.
I will say so much. I love them myself. And it's one of those things where like my friends, your friends,
Mhm.
people be like, oh, they're nice. But even my friends and family are like, no, for real,
They
Olivia,
nice.
they're very
I
nice.
can tell you were very intentional with like the material you chose, the layout of how you know what I mean? Like all the way down to like how it curves at the top. Like, because even that deals with the energy, right? Of when you're moving, whether it's sharp corners or rounded corners at the
Right.
edge of your mat, all of that matters when it comes to you moving energy out of your body. Like it's so I can tell you were very intentional about the design and the material of the mats. So I'm just like, yes, please and thank you. Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
So when we
Thank
were talking more about your work with Freedom at the Mat, and then we talked about, for people who are in their healing, you were talking about your divorce. Now that you're on so much, you're like in it, right? Freedom in the Mat is rocking and rolling. Again, I'm gonna put the link to the show notes. Olivia always does challenges. She always just always dropping gems and collaborations with other movers about poses for anxiety and stress. She has Freedom at the Mat has their own YouTube series and podcast where she's bringing on people dropping knowledge about herbs and self care and rest and taking time. So for you, you're in it now, right? Like you are in it,
you.
still expanding, still evolving, but you're in it. How has
Yeah.
this worked as you expand and as you serve others? How is it still being integrated in your personal life and in your healing journey? How does it show up for you? How do you apply it? How do you stay in expanding while still healing?
It keeps me accountable, Shonda, every day. That's the simplest way that I can say it. The more, like, who's in my community now? You've been on our Freedom at the Mat YouTube, and your videos to this day is one of the most organically demanded ones, right? I just
Mhm.
want to make sure I shout you out for yours. And I will say that when I'm in these conversations with women like you and others, I have no choice but to stay grounded in the truth of what the work is I'm doing.
Mm.
There's no way that I could be espousing this knowledge, advocating for this
Mhm.
knowledge, and not doing it. So it keeps me accountable and it keeps me, I mean, I'm so present. I'm more present than I ever have been in my entire life.
Mm.
I am more available to myself. I'm more available to my maker, my spirit, around where I should go, where I should be, who I should be connected with. So it keeps me accountable and keeps me whole. And I had a friend who says, I've seen your growth personally as you've been doing it. You've been growing as a woman.
Mhm. Mhm.
And we just filmed 6 episodes this week for
Mhm.
upcoming few months. And all the women that I was in conversation with for these episodes, I was like, this is this is really amazing. I needed this today. I needed this, you
Mhm.
know?
Mhm.
So it just, again, I'm being redundant now, but it just keeps me whole and it keeps me accountable. And I'm grateful for it.
Yeah. I love it.
It keeps me growing.
Mhm.
And it keeps me growing too,
Yeah,
right? It keeps
absolutely.
all
Especially I think
yeah,
when you're in the realm or you're in this area of just service in your life, right? And it's like I want to teach people what I'm learning. Well, if you stop learning and you stop
right,
expanding, then you eventually gonna
right,
run out of out of things to
right.
teach. But I also I've experienced and learned when you're not living it, your inner you even if you're not living it, you still might speak a good game, but your energy gonna
Right.
always give that authenticity away. Something won't
Correct.
land, something won't land, you won't attract the people, the classes won't sell, the people won't show
Mm,
up. Like that energy
mm.
will always reflect back to you if you really sitting in something authentic or not. There's a difference between look at me, I'm getting a message. I just like spirit was just like, there's a difference between having to start something and build something and stay consistent and giving that the space to build versus you trying to hurry up and do something and you not even living proof of it yet.
And
Yeah.
so interesting you say it that way
Mhm.
because I won't speak for you, but I'll tell you for myself, Freedom at the Mat has grown in spite of me.
Mhm. Well, that's I feel like when you know
I,
it's your purpose too, because it won't leave you alone.
we have a full, I mean, we didn't mention it. I'm just
Mhm.
sharing it now because, right, I'm a professor,
Mhm.
right? Which has taken up a lot of my time. I took off this semester just to kind of get my head
Mhm.
right. I have Omerge Alliances, which is a full-on event curation firm. We have clients doing wild events throughout the year, and you got Freedom at the Mat, and it just pedals along, and it pedals along. Every other week, I commit to sending out an email on Sunday
Mhm.
night, and I got to tell you, what keeps it going is there's some sister every week without fail, or every other week, that will send me a note saying how that message blessed her.
Mhm.
Or there will be someone who used a matter, who saw a class, who was like, "Thank you so much. Where can I get more?"
Mhm. Mhm.
And I'm, well, I'm planning on doing more, but okay. You know what I mean? So it keeps you in it.
Yeah.
Like, okay, God, how? And then somebody told me this years and years ago.
Mhm.
if God has brought this idea to you, it is yours to see through.
Yep.
It's no one else's. This is
And it'll
yours
keep coming back to you until you pick it up
until
fully.
you do
Yep.
it. Yep. And so that's
Mhm.
where this semester I'd said, okay, Loyola, I need just a semester off. I know Freedom at the Mat is definitely more of a nonprofit type of organization. But I'm gonna need a few months to kind of figure
Mhm.
out how I can make it into more profitable. How can I make this thing make sense? Because I believe in the mission of the content we're putting out
Mhm.
there.
Yeah.
I believe in the products, the journals, and the
Mhm.
mats. And I believe there are women out there whose lives and everybody who purchased the products, they like
Mhm.
them and they look at the content, they like it. So I just got to spend more time trying to get it out there. So it just, like you said, right now I'm spending a lot of brain and intellectual capital on how I can get Freedom at the Mat to reach more women.
But to me, I hear you, and for me, it's like that's not in spite of you. That is you putting just enough energy that it needs to keep going. I will also say from watching you operate Freedom at the Mat on the outside, looking in, you have women outside of yourself who understands what freedom of the mat is, who has a connection to it. So when it
Mm.
comes to even if you ain't do a class in months, there is an energy and a connection to it. So when that's energy never gets destroyed, right? So
Mhm.
it's always in constant motion, even if you're not putting energy into it. When it touches women, it touches a mass amount and it touches them deep and it leaves them
Right.
with something to chew and to hold on to. And so
Yeah.
that's not in spite of you. They gotta sit with that for a little minute. So by the time they're ready for more, I feel like that's when you like, oh, all right, we're gonna do our challenge.
Mhm.
We're gonna let's go have this event over here, or something comes to you and someone might want to do a class or something like that. But
Yep.
yep,
Yeah.
I was like, from what I see, that's not in spite of you. It's like you give such rich quality experiences that people need to sit with that for a little one too until the
Okay.
next
Imma go with that.
until the next time. Not saying that it won't get frequent, because that Juneteenth event was it was good, and
Yeah.
you
We
had layers, right? You had Fate
Yes.
Hunter come in and do this crazy ancestral guided meditation, and you have movement, you have panels, you have vendors, all of these women of color sharing their gifts. You have women driving from outside of New Orleans to come
Yeah.
down to the event, and they spent this wasn't no cute little 1 hour thing. This was a all day situation. we, we was in that
Not a
thing. We was in that thing. And so you gotta
word.
sit with that and reflect and digest, right? So when it comes back
Right.
around, your cup is ready to be filled again. So
Right.
I just say that to say I don't think that's in spite of you. I think it's always just right on time.
Thank
Yeah.
you. I appreciate
Yeah.
I
Because I know
appreciate it.
freedom at the mat isn't your only divine assignment. So spirit gotta make sure
Right.
you got the space to do the other things that you agreed to come down here and do too. But it's all going back
One
to service in women in inner freedom and wholeness at the end of the
but
day.
what,
Yeah.
to that point about not being the only thing that I came down here to do. One of the things I came down here is to get reconnected to my source.
Mhm.
Did
Absolutely.
with my So I'm constantly aware of that, of trying not to do so
Yep.
much, because there's still a fair amount of I was in Chicago for 6, New York City for 20,
Mhm.
and I get here and I was exhausted and COVID started 6 weeks after I got here. And so wanting to just kind of decompress from all that, there was a significant amount of programming in those cities around hustling and
Ah.
grinding. That's what
Mhm.
the whole thing was
Yeah.
about. So you come out of that, it's a little bit like, a little PTSD from all of
Yeah, I can
that,
imagine. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And now you just wanna, like, just kinda sometimes I just have a car for the first time as an adult, right? I haven't had a car until I
Well, that's
was
a part of your
48 years
divine
old.
assignment too. Connecting to your source and the source within yourself. So, right, that's why
Right.
there has to be time to not be doing the other things because you still need time to do that's your priority assignment. It's like if we were getting orders, right? Your first order
Mhm.
is your
That's
connection
it.
to your source and to yourself. And then all of that, once you sitting in that and you marinating in that, all that other energy is gonna funnel right down into all the other divine assignments.
Correct.
The service part of it. The things that are outside of you that allows for you to pour into others, you know?
The end.
The
The end.
Oh, it's always good when we get to talk. I'd be like, "Yep, that's my girl."
Always,
Always, I'm like,
whenever
"That's
I
my
see it.
girl."
Yeah, that's Shonda. She's out there doing her thing. She's doing the work we're supposed to be doing on here. Yeah, always a joy.
I can't thank you enough for joining me on today's episode. Thank you so much. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Yes. Y'all, I'm gonna put
I've
all of Olivia's business in the show notes, her websites, her new book that came out. Congratulations on your book for
thank
marketing and PR tips, right? Um,
Yep,
yep,
creator.
it's on
Mhm.
Amazon. I'm gonna put the link to that.
Mhm.
So if you're some and
Thank
let me
you.
tell you something, she the real deal. So if you somebody that's like, you being wise with your abundance, because you're not broke, you just being wise with your abundance, okay? And you're like, I need some tips, but you want some tips from like someone who do this for real, and they're not just sitting
Mhm.
behind the computer doing it. This is the book that you want to get. Yes.
You. God bless you for that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You.
Girl, listen. We have worked together and you have helped me and you have given me platforms and audiences
Mhm.
and I'm grateful for it. I'm truly grateful for it and grateful to see your own expansion and evolution in the process. I always
Thank
tell
you.
people Olivia is the for me in my dictionary of bring people with you. Her face is next to it.
Mm.
'Cause Olivia is like, she get an opportunity. She like, I'm about to bring everybody. I'm gonna call this person. You free for this date? Just come do your thing. Don't worry about the details. I'm gonna send you an email. We're gonna schedule a call. I'm gonna call you. Just show up. Olivia,
But there's a caveat. People who are ready,
true.
who are doing their work, and who I feel are genuine, because it's what I was saying in the former part of the conversation. I don't want to belabor, but there have been a lot of people that I've had the privilege of getting to know through the platforms I've worked with. And I would say about 80 to 85% of them, it is a transactional
Mm,
experience,
yeah, 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 yeah.
right? It's a transactional where I am a plug in a way,
Hmm.
and they see me as a plug
Hmm.
and they come out and they reinsert somewhere else. Right? And over time, that began to feel like I was being used,
Hmm. Yeah,
and it didn't feel great. It just didn't feel
yeah,
great. And so I was like, how can I manage this a little bit differently so that I'm not
yeah.
looking up and kind of crazy,
That's crazy
right?
because a large part of my healing journey, especially after coming out of, I think, the lifestyle I was so used to with being in commercial dance and living in LA and that whole thing, a large part of my healing was having to unprogram around being so strategic and transactional in relationships. That was a big part of my healing. Like, it hurt like, when I had to really sit back and look at the relationships in my life and be like, "I don't even really know that person. I don't even really know what they
Mm,
like. I know what they could do for me. I know the
mm,
opportunity. I have no I couldn't even tell you if they live in New Orleans, if they live in LA or not, if they back in like when I started healing and being held accountable by my teachers and my
mm,
ancestors, and that was another thing I went through with the energy of dance. Dance told me that in a meditation. Dance was like, you was using me for your ego and your own satisfaction, and I'm a whole energy. You don't even appreciate me.
Ooh.
You don't take me seriously. You didn't want to take ballet and jazz because you was trying to get to know me. You wanted to take what made you feel good. So you stuck with hip hop. And so
Ooh.
a
Well,
large part of that, so I just say thank you for sharing that because I think a lot of people need to realize that when we're on our healing journey, it's so easy to get caught up in playing victim sometimes that we got to realize when we're looking at our relationships, authenticity and integrity, getting to know a person, it matters.
yeah.
It matters. And from us representing almost like both sides of the coin, right? People see straight through that shit.
Mhm.
Like, we're gonna call a spade a spade. They'll feel it. And
Yeah.
they'll know when you checking on them because you actually care
Right.
or when you checking on them because you're just trying to build a rapport.
Girl, the number of times that towards one of my events that I would produce, you get closer to
Yeah.
that month, hey,
Hey.
Libby, hey, Olivia, hey, and I'd be like, right? But this is also why when you and I were talking and you said, Olivia, I appreciate you rolling with me when I transitioned my business. You didn't even care. You just kept supporting me.
Mhm.
I saw
Yeah.
you. I didn't really care. I trusted you and the work and the assignment that you were on as you were evolving enough, but I trusted you.
Mhm.
So I didn't really care.
Mhm.
I was just like, okay, where's she going? Okay, we got it.
Mhm.
Whatever it is that she needs, that the
Yeah.
person, because I remember being a Vibe magazine. There are two instances I'll share very quickly. When I was in New York, I was associate publisher of Vibe magazine, head of marketing, and then I was chief marketing officer of Carol's Daughter. Both instances, I got a lot of incoming phone calls, right?
Mhm.
For things. Of course,
Mhm.
you're a figurehead of these companies. But when Vibe folded overnight, and they said, we're not sure you're even gonna get a severance.
Mm.
We just want y'all to go home. The banks are taking over the property at 1 o'clock. And goodbye. Escort out with the police. Crickets. All those phone calls, all those girls that I thought I was like, hey, girl, it all went away. It all
Mm.
scattered. And same thing, Carol's Daughter, when I left and I went independent and became independently employed, same thing.
Mm.
So one of the things I actually enjoy though is now when I have those, I haven't been in corporate in a really long time since 2011, but I now like when people don't show up for me. It's painful when it happens,
Mhm.
but I actually like it because I feel like in a very weird, twisted way, I'm able to then make space for who I need to make space
Exactly.
for. Because if you're not right, I'm like, okay, well, you
Mhm.
didn't show up for me when I needed you, then
Mhm.
that makes it very easy. When those phone calls come, it makes it very easy not to have to
Yeah.
deal with that,
Mhm.
you know?
Mhm. Absolutely. I think that was one of the biggest things. I did an episode a while ago with one of my teachers around community. And that's what
Mm,
we were talking about. And you're one of the people I think of when I think of when I really got deep into this healing thing. And one of the things when you're healing from trauma or PTSD or accepting, especially around relationships, the only way you know where you are on your journey and where your healing is showing up for you is by taking a chance and staying or starting in relationship with people. It's not just romantic, it's
mhm,
friendship, it's business, right? It's everything. And I have you and maybe like two other people where I'm like, I'm always grateful because I feel like you guys have helped heal that part of me that feels
mm,
safe in relationship with women again that I get to know personally and still collaborate with in a way when we come
mhm,
together to serve others. And so it's been really, really, really awesome to consistently experience it. And like you said, without this transactional thing, it's just, I'm like, I rock with Olivia. Like, I'm like, she is so cool and she is real and she gonna give you that real. You asked for it. But she's gonna do it with love And it's gonna be in a
Mhm.
very just like everything she produced in a very handcrafted way that she understands
Yep.
on how you need to hear it, you know, and
Correct.
also hold you accountable for your own evolution too. Of like, "You ever thought about this? You might really need to do this," you know? And I appreciate that being a part of just who you are when you show up for people and when you show up, in a room for sure.
Thank you, sister. I appreciate you very much, and I appreciate you as we were doing the Juneteenth event, and you were like, "I see this. I see this." And I think staying in community with sisters who believe in you and that can support you along your journey, it's a community. And when
Yeah.
I will tell you this last thing, I did my I can't show you right now, but I did um my vision board for myself this year.
Mhm,
Sorry, I had a mind blank. And it was a digital vision board, Shonda. And it's for my phone,
mhm.
right? Where I put different things on it. And I put community there. And I put the picture of me, you, and Deja Vet
Oh, wow.
at the
Mhm,
downtown.
mhm,
What
yep.
was it?
Yeah,
Outside. The
yeah.
outside, Mississippi. You guys came and supported
Mhm,
the event. That was the IJ
mhm,
thing,
yeah,
right? And just at the community. I appreciate you being a part of my community, and I hope that anybody listening, if they start as part of even if it still makes the actual
yeah, girl, we gonna do the
episode,
whole thing. I don't
that
play no games. We get all the gems, all the gems.
okay. I hope
Yeah,
that people will do the work of finding community. And it's not
yeah,
easy, but for me, having moved here from New York, I moved here thinking that finding a relationship was going to be the end all be all. And that didn't work a couple of times over. And then I was forced to look at myself and say, what do you like to do? What are you doing? What's Olivia wrapped up in?
mhm,
And the reality is I'm wrapped up in yoga, I'm wrapped up in some
mhm.
books, and I'm wrapped up in teaching. Those are things I'm genuinely into. And so from there, being able to spawn out my community with like-minded sisters, and you are definitely a very big part of that. And I love you and I appreciate you, and I'm always going to support you. And I'm excited too that we have developed our relationship over the past, 7, 8 years.
Yeah,
So thank you.
absolutely, absolutely. Yes, so definitely want everyone, listening to know, community can be a tricky thing, but it is definitely, definitely worth it. Um, as you continue to heal from it, the people you attract will mirror back to you what you're healing and what you're worth.
That's right.
Yes. Olivia, thank you. I appreciate you, sis. And y'all, I'm gonna
Always,
put the
always.
show notes to everything so you can stay connected to Olivia, stay connected to Freedom at the Mat, Emerge Alliances, her book, all the things she got going on.
Thank,
All right. Y'all, thank
thank
you so much
you.
for listening to the Healing Lifestyle Podcast. Remember to keep going, keep growing, and keep healing. You got this. Yay!